Yo guys, welcome to the Zelda fiction. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto awakened the 3 dormant bloodlines? Part 2. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. As the teams neared training ground 44, they could still hear Naruto's screams of pain. They were near tears because of the laughing fits they were in. As the teams got to the giant forest that was training ground 44, they saw Naruto slumped on the floor rubbing his ear, scowling at the laughing Anko. The teams caught their attention after Kiba cleared his throat. Alright, this is where the second test will take place. This is training ground 44 of the Forest of Death, said the sadistically happy Anko. This is training ground 44 of the Forest of Death, Naruto repeated mockingly. He felt something graze his cheeks and looked at the ground. He saw a kunai with blood stuck into the grass, and his eye twitched. That's it, I'm going to kill you. He screamed at Anko. He took out 2 3-pronged kunai that looked a lot like his dad's, but the side prongs went straight out horizontally and were sharp. The kunai started to glow and Anko's eyes widened. Wind chakra started to come off the prongs, making the side prong 6 inches long and the top prong 1.5 feet. The prongs started to glow red and fire chakra enveloped it. Naruto's black fire began to flicker inside the wind chakra. Anko backed up and ran as Naruto started to chase her. Alright Gakis. You will be starting with 1 scroll. Either heaven or earth scroll. To complete this test you need to have a heaven or earth scroll when you arrive at the tower in the middle of the forest. You will not be able to forfeit until you get to the tower with both scrolls. You have 5 days. Now go to the tents over there to sign your consent forms so that Konoha will not be liable for your deaths. Yes, there will be deaths. Alright. Yelled Anko, still running from Naruto. Gaki, calm down, I'm sorry geez. As soon as Anko said that, Naruto calmed down and put his kunai away. Was that so hard? He asked as he went to the tents. Anko just stood there flabbergasted. Damn it, she thought. Naruto got in the UZ line to sign his form behind Ino. The blonde turned around and saw Naruto behind her and smirked. So, Naruto. Why don't you tell me who this girl is? She asked. Naruto's eye twitched. Great, now I'm gonna be bombarded by questions by the gossip queen of Konoha, he thought. No, he responded. What? The Yamanaka asked. I said no. If I tell you I know you can't keep it to yourself. You'll tell everyone you can. Eventually everyone in the village will know and there will be no reason to keep it to myself. The village will go after her because of me. There's a reason I don't exactly talk about the people I love openly. I can trust Shikamaru though. Hell, he's probably known since the first year of the academy, Naruto explained. By this time it was Ino's turn to sign her consent form. She went to her team still thinking about the redeed. Naruto sighed and signed his form. He went to the tent with the scrolls. He gave the Chunin his consent form and was given his scroll. He was guided to his gate between an AIM team and another Konoha team. I should probably avoid as many teams as possible. Setting traps is the best option here, he thought. Hit, are you gonna use the Kubikirabacho? Asked Kurama. You crazy? Of course I am. That's the best sword I've ever had. I can't wait to use it, he thought. Think of all the reactions. He added, slightly sadistically. Inside his mind Kurama's sweat dropped. You know, kid, I think Anko's rubbing off on you. You think Naruto was about to think but was cut off by the loudspeaker. Alright you maggots, the gates will be open in 3, 2, 1. Goo. Yelled Anko as the gates to the Forest of Death opened and all 27 teams ran inside. Fuchius no Jutsu. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruto yelled using Kurama's chakra to summon a wolf-sized version of the 9-tailed fox and 4 clones of himself. Finally I get to stretch my legs. Yelled the Kyubi passive-aggressively at the redeed. I haven't had time to summon you. Now, if you want me to pass, you'll help me set up traps and make sure no one is near. I don't know how to set up traps, are you insane? I'm a freaking fox meat sack. Yelled the fox. Okay. With Team 10. We should go after Billboard Brow's team, there's no way they can beat us. Yelled Ino. Troublesome. Ino, they have Sasuke, who is probably high genin, and the Sai guy who we have no information about, and Sakura I guess. Realistically the best team to go after is Naruto, but he can make Kage Bunshins, which is more than enough to take us on. So, we need to play the tactical game and watch our enemies. That's when we will strike, said Shikamaru. You're no fun Shikamaru, muttered the blonde. With Team 8. Team 8 was currently setting up a trap to get their scroll, unknowingly being watched by a team. Since the tower is where everyone is going to be headed, the best thing to do is to set traps, said Kiba. Akamaru sniffed the air alerting Team 8 to the team who was watching them. Stupid kids, they might as well be asking us to capture them. From the sound of things they know we're her, but they haven't found out where, said the enemy shinobi, only to freeze up and lose the color in his face. Yo, what's wrong? Your face is white as snow. asked his teammate. "Org," yelled the first boy. His teammates looked at the back of his neck and saw a giant leech sucking the blood out of the back of his neck. "What the hell is that thing?" yelled the second teammate, only to look up with his other teammate and see tons of the same leeches fall down on top of them. Org. The team fell onto a net where they saw a teammate in front of them. The leeches in this forest can sense heat in the body and fling themselves en masse. Unfortunate for you guys. Because if you can't get them within 5 minutes, you're done. And if you panic, well, said Kiba. "Help," yelled the enemy team. "One team down," said Kiba as he picked up their scroll, "and looky here Akamaru, they got the scroll we need," he added looking at his team. "Let's get to the tower." "Oh, and Hina-chan, why don't we?" "No," responded the Hyuga. "Damn," muttered the Inyazuka. Of Team 7. "Did you guys hear that?" asked Sakura, "this place is super creepy." "I'm sure it's nothing," said Sai. "That smile is even creepier," thought the girl. Said Sasuke, "there's someone out there." Suddenly a volley of shuriken came flying at the team. "Scatter," yelled Sasuke. As the team dodged a shuriken, a team of aim ninja came down from the trees. Well. What do we have here? A bunch of kids. "Well, since you survived, why don't you tell me which one of you has the scroll?" said a black-haired aim nin with a face mask. "Well, since you won't tell me, I guess I'll have to be direct," he yelled as he ran at Sakura. "Heitan. Housenkan no jutsu," yelled Sasuke. The aim nin dodged the volley of fireballs, and Sasuke rushed at the enemy. The aim nin ran higher into the trees, Sasuke on his heels. The Uchiha landed on a branch as the aim nin threw a kunai at him. Sasuke dodged to the left as the kunai hit the branch. He smirked until he heard a SSS sound and looked at the knife. His eyes widened as he saw an explosive node about to blow up. The node exploded, sending Sasuke to the floor. "Thanks for that opening," said the aim nin landing behind Sasuke, "now stay still. One false move and I'll kill you. Hand over the scroll." "Sasuke-kun," yelled Sakura. Sai took out his tanto, rushing at the ninja, replacing himself with Sasuke. He stabbed the aim nin in the gut. "Ayurg," yelled the nin, "damn, this is bad. I thought coming alone would help me conceal my presence, but it's been a failure. I gotta leave." Sasuke turned around seeing the aim nin retreating. He gritted his teeth, damn it. He got away. "With Naruto?" "Nobody yet," asked Naruto to his fox companion. "Actually, I just picked up on a team. It seems to be that Kabuto Gaki's team. I can tell from their chakra that they are experienced, but pick them off one by one and you'll be fine." "Alright," said Naruto, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, as 10 clones came into existence. "Create a perimeter around his team, nobody leaves it." The clones nodded and shunshined away. "Now let's go play," said Kurama. "Kabuto, 11, number 12 people creating a perimeter around us. What should we do?" asked a man with a mask, bandana, and dark glasses. Kabuto frowned. 12. "Are you sure about that, Yoroi?" he asked. The man named Yoroi nodded. "From what I can tell, 11 of them have equal chakra while one has, what the fu, its chakra is the strongest I've ever felt." Kabuto's frown deepened. "Alright, stop." The team stopped on a branch and heard 12 pairs of feet land around them. "Alright, you can come out," said another man with a mask, bandana, and clear glasses. As soon as the third man said that, the team saw who created the noise. Out of the shadows stepped 10 Uzumaki Narutos and 1 wolf-sized fox. Kabuto's eyes narrowed, he knew he heard 12, the question was where was he? He was about to find out. "Quick question. What's your opinion on blood?" asked Naruto. Now the team was confused. "What are you talking about?" asked the third man. Naruto's blank face soon had a sadistic smile plastered across it. "You'll soon find out," he said as he and the other 9 clones dropped unsealed scrolls to the ground. The team looked down at the ground and saw the 11th clone. "Hey, look over here," said the mysterious fox. When the team looked at the fox, they were hit with the biggest killing intent they had ever felt. The team was now locked in place, with Yoroi and the third man sprawled on the ground with Kabuto on his knees. They became even more frightened when they saw the 11 Naruto's eyes change. The Narutos made several hand signs and placed their hands on the ground. A giant rumbling noise came from the ground. The team's eyes popped out of their sockets as 4 giant walls of blood surrounded them, dwarfing the trees as it went higher. With Anko. Currently Konoha's resident snake mistress was eating dango and was halfway through creating a lead symbol. She looked towards the forest and her eyes widened and she choked on her bowl of dango. She saw 4 walls of blood coming up from the trees and 12 figures climb the wall. "Damn Naruto, you really want to scroll, don't you, to use that move," she thought, remembering when she used a downgraded version of the move he was about to use. With Naruto. The Narutos started to spin as they each grabbed 2 bone blades. They held the blade straight as they guided blood down their arms with their taijutsu. The blood began to envelop their arms and the bones, causing everything above his elbow to become a blade of blood. The Narutos began to spin closely around Kurama, who himself was already spinning. This caused them to become a drill of blood blades with the strongest of all the Bijuu in the middle. Team Kabuto was frantically trying to get away, but they couldn't find any way out. They looked up and saw the drill of red and black above them. Shit. They all thought. As Naruto got closer, he smirked as he got an idea. Sorry, not sorry, Kiba, he thought. Gatsuga. He yelled as he impacted the team. Aurg. Echoed throughout the entire forest. With teammate. Kiba suddenly sneezed. Are you alright, Kiba? Asked Hinata. Yeah, I'm fine, Hinata-chan, responded the boy. Anyways, surviving this forest was as easy as I had thought. We rule, right, Akamaru? Woof. Responded Akamaru. We really lucked out. The first people to fall into our trap were carrying the earth scroll we needed. We'll be at the tower in no time. Yelled Kiba. Calm down, it's too early to celebrate. This forest is crawling with enemies, scolded Shino. When feeling threatened, even the smallest bug will. Alright already. I got it, but how you always manage to twist things around so it is related to bugs amazes me. Anyways, I am still the team leader, said Kiba. But maybe Shino is right, said Hinata. Fine, Hinata-chan, said Kiba. Wait. Hold it. He yelled as he and Akamaru sniffed the air. If we're supposed to be on the lookout, Hinata should check out ahead of us for the next kilometer. Alright, let me check, responded the Hokage by Akukan. Hinata's vision stretched out and saw Gaara along with 5 other people, his teammates and another team in a standoff. Someone is in a fight, there are 6 people, she said. Let's go take a look. Exclaimed Kiba. Huh? Asked Kiba. Kiba, think logically, what would that accomplish? Asked Shino. To pass the exam, we were told to steal and deliver 1 Earth and Heaven scroll. Nobody said we couldn't take more than 1. If we grab more than 1 pair, the fewer teams will get scrolls. So more teams will fail. Kiba explained. But, Hinata tried. I just want to look. If it's too dangerous we'll leave, Kiba interrupted. Now let's go. He added as he jumped away with Akamaru. Damn, thought Shino as he joined him along with Hinata. As the team arrived at the standoff, Akamaru began to shake and whimper. Kiba frowned. Akamaru, what's wrong? Why did we stop? Asked Hinata. Something scared Akamaru. He is able to sniff an enemy's chakra. He can smell the enemy's strength, so the fact that he's scared isn't a good sign, Kiba explained as he looked at Gaara. Soon a team was in a standoff with another AIM team. The nerve of those Sunagakur Gakus trying to take us. How stupid. Said the tallest member. What the hell is the Redeed doing, taking them on? Kiba thought as Akamaru whimpered. Akamaru, what is it, boy? Kiba, what's wrong? Asked Shino. It's Akamaru, he's frightened. Of the short one. He says he feels cold, whatever that means. They all seem very dangerous, and strong, thought Hinata. Prepare to meet your maker. Yelled the tall Aimnin. Are you going to fight us, or talk us to death? Asked Gaara. Why you little, growled Aimnin. I can't tell if this group has heaven or earth. Maybe they don't have either, thought Kankuro. Hey Garu. I thought we weren't going to fight anyone unless they had the scroll that we needed. There's no point in fighting if they don't have the scroll we need. Kankuro, shut up or I'll kill you, Gaara said calmly. Anyone who crosses me is dead. Alright. I'm fine with that. Yelled the Aimnin as he took out 4 umbrellas. He threw the umbrellas into the air and made hand signs. You're dead. Ninpu. Jaioro Senbon. Senbon needles flew off the umbrellas headed for Gaara. Just before the 1,000 needles could hit the boy, a wall of sand blocked all of them, leaving him unharmed. Is that all? Asked Gaara. Impossible, none of them hit him. Said the Aimnin. Some attack that was. Well, my turn to respond with a deluge of blood. Kiba's eyes widened, his chakra. It's so powerful. And his sand, it reeks of blood. Gaara extended his hand, Sabakukyu. He said as a hand of sand reached out to the tall Aimnin and wrapped around him. Gaara closed his hand, and what happened next could only be described as a shower of blood as the Aimnin was crushed. Sabakusoso. Teammates' eyes were wide as they saw what happened. We gotta get out of here, said Kiba. The team got up and left towards the tower, not seeing when Gaara looked towards where they were hiding. Naruto was running through the forest towards the tower after he had performed his now named Kitsueki Gatsuga, blood fang over fang. He was 5 kilometers away when he heard a scream that sounded like a certain pink-haired girl. Ooh. He groaned in his mind. He didn't want to, but he decided to check it out. As he got to where he heard the scream come from, he landed on a higher branch. What he saw terrified him. He saw a knocked-out Sai and a frozen Sakura and Sasuke. But that wasn't what terrified him. In front of Team 7 was a giant snake with a man on top of it. Besides Anko, the only other person was the most famous missing nin among all the elemental nations. His name was Orochimaru, the snake Sannin. He took out 2 bones and with the help of his Kitsurigan, had 2 Kubikirabacho blades in hands. He leaped down at the giant snake as it rushed at Team 7. Before anyone knew, the snake's head was detached from his body and Naruto was in front of Team 7 in a defensive form with both swords held backhand. "Oh, we don't need you," said Sasuke, just as he and Sakura passed out from the bloodlust in the area. "You know, I might not like them, but they're Leaf Ninja, my comrades," Naruto said facing Orochimaru. "This gaki how did I didn't even sense him," thought Orochimaru. The snake man smiled, well, let's see if you prove a better opponent than Sasuke-kun." Naruto narrowed his eyes, "Why are you here, Orochimaru?" Well, curious now are we. "Well, let's just say that Sasuke-kun's eyes are the key to my success," explained Orochimaru. "With Anko. Nothing goes better with dango than red bean soup. And as soon as I'm finished eating, I'll head to the tower." Anko thought. "The good team should be done in less than a day," she added as she threw her last dango stick at a tree, creating the symbol of Konoha. "Anko-san," yelled a Chunin. "Terrible news." "Already?" she whined. "Dead bodies. 3 of them," explained the Chunin. "Dead bodies?" she asked. "Dead and very deformed. Please come take a look," said the Chunin. "Deformed?" Anko thought. "Judging from their belongings and the papers we found, they are shinobi of Kusagakure. They were registered to take the Chunin exams," explained Katetsu, "and as you can see, their features are completely gone. Their faces as smooth as if they were completely melted off. No doubt about it, I know who did this. But why would he be here?" Anko thought. "Show me the photos from the shinobi's bodies at once." As Anko saw the photos her blood ran cold. She saw a Kusanin who had been near her when she was chased by Naruto, so he stole this face. But that means he had done it before the exams had even started. "You 3. Report everything to Hokage-sama. Ask that he deploys 2 additional Black Ops to the forest at once. I'm going after the imposters." "The key to your success?" Naruto questioned. "I wish to learn every jutsu in the world to become the strongest. The Sharingan is the best way to achieve my goal," Orochimaru said. "You're insane," yelled the Uzumaki as he ran at Orochimaru, flaring his Kyubi chakra. He created 2 Kage Bunshin that went to Orochimaru's side. "Kano Harik Mikazuki no Mai," Naruto said as he cut Orochimaru's chest. As he was about to land on a branch, he felt something slimy wrap around him. He looked down and saw a tongue. He looked for where it was coming from and looked towards Orochimaru and saw it was coming from his mouth. He was brought face to face with. Orochimaru looked at Naruto's eyes and saw that they were red with a slit pupil. "Haha, so the Nine-Tails Gaki is still alive and kicking. How interesting, and it seems you have full control over the beast," said Orochimaru as he lifts Naruto's shirt, "and there's the proof, the seal on your stomach that keeps it trapped. But we can't have you as a threat, it's too bad I can't seal you. Phew. 5-pronged seal," he said as he plunged his fingers into Naruto's gut. "Aorg," yelled the Redeed. Orochimaru threw the boy but was surprised when he was still conscious as he landed on a branch. He saw Naruto's eyes widening and saw the smirk on his face. "This isn't the best time to be smiling, Gaki," said the Sannin. It was then that he felt tingling on his legs. He looked down and saw thousands of bugs crawling up his leg. He attempted to move but couldn't. He gritted his teeth and looked around to see where the bugs may be coming from. "Atsuga," came a voice. 2 drills came from the forest and Orochimaru felt 2 drills hit his back. He was knocked to the ground with 2 wounds in his back. He looked up towards Naruto and saw another team in front of the Redeed. An Inuzuka, a Hyuga, and an Aburami. That wasn't so hard," said the Inuzuka. He looked towards Naruto. "You really need to choose better battles. I may not like you a lot, but I don't want you dead," he added. "I," said Naruto, surprised to see someone stand up for him. "Let's get this traitor," he smirked. "Now I like the sound of that," said Kiba. He punched his hand into his palm and looked towards his teammate. "Let's do this." Shino and Hinata nodded, the latter activating her Dojutsu. Naruto got up and looked towards Orochimaru. He saw Orochimaru open his mouth and stretch it out. He almost threw up at what he saw. He saw a new and healed Orochimaru climb out of the beaten Orochimaru's mouth. Orochimaru faced Hinata and saw her Dojutsu activate. He licked his lips and thought, "A Byakugan, huh? That'll be nice to get a hold of." Naruto where Orochimaru was looking and his blood ran cold. "He's not thinking of doing what I think he's doing. Is he?" Orochimaru launched himself at Hinata and saw her teams and the Kyubi brat's eyes widen. Just as was about to mark her, he was hit by the flat of Naruto's blade. "That took too much of my strength. I can't stay awake," he thought as he fell to the ground unconscious. Teammate looked at the fallen Uzumaki. Shino and Kiba moved him behind them and then stepped in front of Hinata. Kiba and Akamaru jumped at the missing nin, Gatsuga. Kiba yelled. This time Orochimaru saw the attack and swatted the duo away, causing them to hit a tree, rendering them too weak to fight. Shino attempted to catch him with his bugs, but having lost the element of surprise, Orochimaru simply dodged the bugs and kicked Shino in the solar plexus, rendering him unable to battle, just like Kiba. He looked at the Hokage, whose eyes were now wide with terror. He extended his neck, and before Hinata could do anything she felt his teeth sink into her neck. "Ah!" Hinata screamed and then passed out. Orochimaru faced the unconscious Sasuke and hit him in the same place on the neck. "Now if you'll excuse me, I have a date to get to," he said to Shino, Kiba, and Akamaru, who had seen everything. "Kiba, we need to get them to the tower. We have 4 scrolls. Naruto has his 2, and Team 7 will need to use our extra scrolls so they can get in," explained Shino. Kiba nodded at his friend's logic and picked up Naruto and Hinata. And transformed Akamaru picked up Sai and Sakura, with Shino picking up Sasuke. With Anko. "It's already night. I have to find him soon. The darker it gets the worse the situation will be." Anko thought, but why choose now to show himself? What's he playing at? Not that it matters, I'll kill him. No matter how hard it will be. I'm going to kill him, even if it means dying. If I can't kill you, I'll slow you down until the Anbu arrive. To kill you, isn't it Orochimaru? Anko asked. Impossible, said Orochimaru. Anko jumped off the branch and took 4 senbon from her kunai pouch. As she was about to launch the matter old sensei, Orochimaru spit his tongue at her, catching her arm. That didn't stop the snake mistress. She took a hold of his tongue hard when he tried to pull her toward him. Hidden shadow snake hands. Exclaimed Anko. She pulled even harder, pulling Orochimaru toward her, launching him through the air. He hit the branch and was dragged by Anko. They slammed into the tree, causing both of them to grunt in pain. Anko pinned the snake man against the tree, trapping him by stabbing their hands together with a kunai. "Got you," she said. "Now why don't you lend me a hand," she added, grabbing a hold of his left hand with her right as she made a hand sign. Orochimaru's eyes widened when he recognized the seals. He said. "That's right, we'll be dying together," said Anko sadistically. "Twin snakes kill each other." Orochimaru smiled, "So you want to commit suicide?" "How sweet," he said. Suddenly the voice came from somewhere else, "But that's just a bunshin." Anko's eyes widened as the bunshin popped and looked behind her. "Even if you are an elite ninja of Konoha, you mustn't forget everything I taught you," said Orochimaru. Anko gritted her teeth. Why are you here now?" she asked. Orochimaru smiled, "For nostalgia, my dearest Anko. And it even seems that you're not happy to see me." "Ooh, is it an assassination? Are you after Hokage-sama?" asked Anko. Orochimaru's smile turned sadistic. Now. You don't have the authority to know that. But right now, I'm just here to leave my mark. In fact, I just left too. I think you'll find out soon." Anko's eyes widened as she reached to the back of her neck, where the same mark Orochimaru had branded Hinata and Sasuke was. Who was it?" she asked. "One boy and a girl. Like I said, you'll find out soon," Orochimaru responded. "You're a monster. They'll be dead in no time. Only 1 out of 10 survive." Anko growled. Orochimaru tilted his head, "Possibly, but I have a feeling these 2 will pull through," he said victoriously. "Now, if you don't mind. I'll be leaving now. Can't stick around forever," he added as he disappeared in a shunshin. "Uff, need to tell Hokage-sama," Anko said just before blacking out. 6 hours after the fight. Shino, Kiba, and Akamaru had found a tree with an opening under it to lay the others down. It was currently the 2nd day of the exam, and things were not going well. They had had to avoid at least 3 teams in 6 hours, and were all out of supplies. The best they could do was put wet towels on Naruto, Hinata, Sasuke, Sai, Sakura's foreheads. Sasuke would constantly scream out in pain, Hinata would whimper, and Naruto would groan and hold his hand to his stomach. Because of this, Kiba had joked that Naruto was just hungry. 12 hours after the fight. What happened?" asked a waking up Sakura. Suddenly her eyes widened. "Sasuke-kun," she yelled. Kiba and Shino flinched, and Akamaru whined. She looked towards the boys and narrowed her eyes. "What are you doing? Trying to make Sasuke-kun lose?" she questioned angrily. Before Kiba could retaliate, Shio spoke up. "Sakura-san. Naruto-san arrived to help your team when he heard you scream. When he got there he saw your teammate unconscious and you about to collapse. He defended your team after Sasuke-san fainted. He fought Orochimaru until our team arrived. We backed him up, where he fainted as well. We were severely beaten, and that was when Orochimaru bit both Hinata and Sasuke-san," he explained. Sakura's eyes widened. "He attacked Sasuke-kun?" Kiba spoke up. "Yeah, along with your other teammate, Naruto, and our team," he muttered. Sakura shot him a glare. "I just need to know if Sasuke-kun is fine," she said. Sasuke-sen is fine, if not a few cries of pain in his sleep, he is otherwise unharmed, Shino said. Sakura breathed out in a sigh of relief. She jumped behind Kiba when she heard a twig snap. Kiba looked towards the sound. He saw a squirrel and sweat dropped, is she really a kunoichi? He thought. Suddenly his eyes widened as he smelled fire coming from the squirrel, shit. Paper bomb. He grabbed a kunai and threw it at the squirrel. It skimmed the squirrel, but took the paper bomb with it, exploding right before it hit the end of the clearing. Well, they're pretty smart. They noticed the paper bomb, said the black-haired Odonin from the first exam. It seems they did, Zaku, said the bandaged one. So what are we waiting for, Dosu? Asked a girl with long black hair and a green vest with snakeskin clothes. That's a good question, there's nothing keeping us back, said Dosu. Okay, Kin, get the girl. Zaku, you get the mutt. I'll get the creepy one. You're one to talk about creepy, muttered Zaku. The Odo team jumped down from the tree, landing in front of the three conscious Konoha genin. Hey, you there with the obnoxiously pink hair, said Dosu, wake up Sasuke. The three of us want to take him on. Like hell you will, if you want to get to him, you'll have to go through us, growled Kiba. Ha! So you think you will be able to keep us at bay, that's hilarious, chuckled Zaku. I just hate the one of Kunoichi who bring a bad name to all Kunoichi, scoffed Kin. What are you talking about? All I know is that some guy called Orochimaru is causing all of this. So what do you want with Sasuke-kun? Sakura asked. When she mentioned Orochimaru, Odo was surprised. Why do you want to fight him now, and what does the mark on his neck mean? He's not even conscious, so just leave. She yelled. I wonder what Orochimaru-sama is up to. Spoke Dosu. Zaku laughed, whatever, after that I can't just walk away without a fight. First I'll destroy you, your friends, and your precious Sasuke-kun too. Zaku, wait. Let me have the girl. Kin yelled. Zaku scoffed, fine. Mutt, you're mine, he said as he pointed to Kiba. Kiba growled at the mutt part. Alright. Shino, Sakura, let's show them what Konoha is made of, he said, tossing a pill to Akamaru, Jujin Bunshin. He cried and he and Akamaru became two feral-looking Kibas. He rushed at Zaku, while Kin ran toward Sakura and Shino and Dosu met head-on. Atsuuga! Yelled Kiba as he and Akamaru launched at the Odonin, decapitating airwaves. Yelled Zaku as a strong gust of wind hit the Inyazuka duo, sending them off course. Kiba hit and Akamaru hit a boulder, with Akamaru being knocked unconscious from the impact. Akamaru! Yelled Kiba. He faced Zaku and snarled, damn you. He said as he threw down a smoke bomb that enveloped him and Zaku. You really think this will work? I can just blow it awa arg. Zaku was about to say until he was hit in the solar plexus by Kiba. You talk too much, said the Inyazuka. Zaku seethed, you damn brat. You'll pay for that. Decapitating airwaves. Zaku yelled, dispersing the smoke and blowing Kiba away into the same boulder head first. He heard Dosu speak to his enemy and he felt a giant killing intent. Hin versus Sakura. Do I really have to narrate this? We all know how this will go. Hin held onto Sakura's hair and knocked her out. It was then she heard what Dosu said and a giant killing intent and she looked towards the giant tree. But Shino and Dosu. Unfortunately for you, your teammates will be killed by the time we're done with you, all your friends will be dead, said Dosu. Shinto's hive buzzed louder. I don't like you threatening me out, my friends, he said as he released his bugs. Dosu held up his right arm and released a giant sound wave that dispersed the bug and hit Shino. Erg, grunted Shino. He looked up and saw Dosu rushing towards with a kunai in his hands. Like I said, you won't win. Maybe I'll have some fun with that blue-haired girl as well, Dosu laughed. As soon as Dosu finished his sentence he felt a giant killing intent that dwarfed Orochimaru's focused on him. His eyes widened and he began to hyperventilate. He shakily looked towards the tree the other four were under and what he saw scared the living daylights out of him. He saw Naruto standing up, his arms limp at his sides. But that wasn't what terrified him. He looked into his eyes and saw the Kitsuryugen with blood pouring out of them. Naruto was staring directly into Dosu's eyes, freezing Dosu. He then saw a red flash and felt the killing intent behind him. He turned his head and saw Naruto with a red aura around him. Naruto's eyes narrowed. You know, there are two things that anger me the most. Waking me up and threatening my friends. And anyone who has threatened Hinata hasn't gotten away untouched. Naruto hit Dosu in the solar plexus and sent him flying into a nearby tree. The Odo-nin got the wind knocked out of him, but he never got a chance to breath as he took an axe kick to the head from the retreat. Before Dosu hit the ground he was thrown 30 feet by Naruto who landed on top of him and began to punch Dosu non-stop. He could hear Shino and Kiba shouting at him to calm down, but he didn't listen. An. Imagine Naruto punching Deidara when he found out Gaara was dead. Naruto began to take out a bone blade fused to give the final blow before he heard a voice cry out, Naruto-kun. Naruto looked over to where the voice came from, and his eyes widened as he got off the bloody and beaten Dosu. He dropped his weapon and saw a shaking Hinata under the tree, wide-eyed with tears in her eyes. He looked around to see a frightened Zaku, Kin, Kiba, and Shino. He saw Sakura, but who TF cares? He then realized what had just happened. What the fuck? Was I really about to kill him? He thought. He looked into Hinata's eyes, but immediately looked away with a shameful look on his face. We need to get to the tower. Kiba, you get Sai and Akamaru, Shino, you grab Sasuke. Hinata, Kiba, Shino, grab onto me, he told teammate, and you, focusing his attention on the Odo team, get out of here before I do that again. The Odo team obliged and left with Dosu. Teammate touched Naruto's shoulders, Hinata not trying to faint while doing so. They felt a pull and were nauseous for several seconds, yet that'll happen on your first few rides, said Naruto. Teammate looked up and their eyes grew wide. They were in front of the door that led them inside the tower. They picked up Team 7 and Akamaru and walked inside the giant tower. When they got inside they realized they were in a room. They looked around and saw nothing. I think we should open the scroll, said Naruto. He and teammate unsealed their and Team 7 scroll. They started smoking as soon as they opened it. It's a summoning scroll. Throw it away, yelled Naruto. The teams threw all scrolls that landed in an X a few feet from them. When the smoke dispersed, the genin saw Kurenai, Kakashi, and Iruka. The Jonin and Chunin looked at each other and then at their students. Wow, all 7 of you at once. That's funny, chuckled Kakashi. It was then he realized his entire team was unconscious. What happened to them? He asked. Naruto spoke up first. I heard the Banshee scream, and when I found Team 7, they were battling Orochimaru. Sai and Sakura were unconscious when I got there, and as soon as I dispelled his snake summon with my swords. I fought him for a few minutes until Naruto looked over to teammate, deciding what to say, punched me with a fire-infused fist. Kiba was the next one to speak up. Me and Akamaru had picked up on the fight, and Hinata looked for it and saw Naruto and Orochimaru. We waited for the best time to fight, and we decided to fight after Naruto was hit by Orochimaru. I was able to hit him with Gatsuuga because Shino kept him down with his bugs. When we got there, Naruto passed out shortly after, and that is when things went downhill. We tried to hit him again, but he quickly dispatched me and Shino. He extended his neck and bit both Hinata and Sasuke, and they have these weird marks on their necks now. What? Yelled Naruto, Kurenai, Kakashi, and Iruka. We need to get them medical attention. Yelled Kurenai. The best I can do is seal the marks, but I don't know how long it will take for them to wake up from after it. It's up to Hinata, and since Sasuke is unconscious, the person who will decide for them is Kakashi, said Naruto, still enraged by the news. He looked at Hinata who had her hand on her neck. Aye. How long do you think it will take? She asked Naruto. Naruto sighed, 1 to 2 days is my best guess. Hinata looked her crush straight in the eyes and nodded, I'll do it. Naruto smiled softly and then looked at Kakashi who nodded, alright, I'm going to need a room to set up the seal. Kurenai took Hinata away along with Kakashi and Sasuke. Iruka took the rest of Team 7 to their room, leaving only Kiba, Shino, and Naruto. So, Naruto-san. I've noticed that you always act a certain way around Hinata. Almost protectively. Why is that? Asked Shino. Naruto stiffened and hesitated for a moment. He then relaxed and let out a shaky breath. Alright, since you guys are her teammates you deserve to know. It was nearly 7 years ago. It was the Kyubi festival, and I was walking home after buying a fox mask. I guess that several people were drunk, and seeing me in the mask reminded them of the fox. They chased me for several minutes until I ran down an alley. I was usually able to climb pipes to get away, but not this time. Unfortunately they got to me first. They started beating me and I went unconscious. When I woke up, 3 awakened 2 of my bloodlines that killed all of them. I laid there for several moments, pondering my existence. I felt good about killing them, hell I almost went insane. Until she found me. A girl came down the alley and saw me. She ran back to the light and I closed my eyes. Then I heard her running back. I opened my eyes and saw her with water and a box. She helped me drink the water until she was called back. I wanted to know her name but couldn't ask. I found out later by the Hokage that the girl who had shown me kindness and indirectly saved me from losing my sanity was Hinata, said Naruto now teary-eyed, so you see. I vowed to always protect her from any harm who comes her way. Kiba and Shino were wide-eyed. Kiba was pondering everything he knew now about the Uzumaki. It was then a question came to his mind, do you love her? He asked with a barely noticeable smile on his face that nobody saw. Naruto, caught off guard by the question, stammered and looked away, trying to hide the growing blush on his face. What make you think that? Kiba smiled, because nobody can protect someone without asking for anything back without truly loving them. Naruto looked at Kiba wide-eyed. Kiba. Kiba's smile turned big, go get her man, tell her soon. I'll be fine, there's someone out there for me. Naruto smiled and said, yeah, maybe I will tell her soon. Probably after the exams. Shino and Kiba left the room, leaving Naruto to his thoughts. Yuga Hinata. I truly do love you. I'll remove that seal on your head and I'll get rid of that damned curse mark that Orochimaru gave you. Sealing room. Alright, Hinata-chan, this is probably gonna hurt a lot, said Naruto. He had already done Sasuke, but since he was unconscious, there wasn't a lot of commotion. Oh okay Naruto-kun, said Hinata. Naruto made the necessary hand signs and placed his hand on the cursed seal. Phew, he said. Seal spread all over Hinata, making her scream in pain. Behind her, Naruto, Kakashi and Kurenai all cringed. The seals crawled up Hinata's body and wrapped around the cursed seal in a circle. Hinata went unconscious, but before she hit the ground, was caught and picked bridal style by Naruto. He looked at Kakashi who had Sasuke slung over his shoulder. I'll take her to her room, he said. Kakashi and Kurenai nodded, but the latter was still reluctant. Naruto headed out of the room towards where the rest of teammate was. Naruto walked through the hallways with Hinata in his arms. He looked down at Hinata and smiled. Who woulda thought it would take a speech from Kiba for me to realize that I really love you, he thought. As he neared her team's room he bumped shoulders with a boy from another Konoha team. Naruto noticed this and apologized. Sorry about that, he said scratching the back of his neck. He turned around and looked at the boy and his two teammates. The boy was obviously a Hokage from the wide eyes. He wore his headband around his forehead and had a khaki shirt, brown pants, bandages around his arms, and blue ninja sandals. His female teammate had a pink Chinese-style tank top, green pants, two buns, blue ninja sandals, and wore her headband around her forehead. His male teammate wore a green spandex suit, had a bowl cut, orange leg warmer, blue ninja sandals, and he wore his headband around his waist. The Hokage glared at Naruto and said, "Why do you have her in your arms?" Naruto just raised one eyebrow and responded, "I'm getting her back to her team. She needed medical attention and I was the best one available because it involved Fuinjutsu," Naruto explained. "If you'll excuse me Hokage-san, I need to get her to her room so she can be ready for when this portion ends." The Hokage just glared at Naruto's retreating figure and then looked at his teammates. "Tenten, Lee, let's go to our room." 5 hours later. Naruto was currently walking around the tower. It was nighttime and he couldn't sleep. He rubbed the back of his neck. Damn, there's nothing to do here and I can't sleep, he thought. Naruto wandered around, checking out every room. He ended up at the cafeteria where he saw the Nibi Jinchuriki drinking tea. They stared at each other for several seconds before Naruto spoke up. "Nai?" he asked. The girl nodded. "Kyu. Name's Nai Yugito," she said. "Uzumaki Naruto," responded Naruto, "I have a question." The Kumo Jinchuriki raised her eyebrow but nodded nonetheless. Naruto, seeing this asked, "What do you think is wrong with the Ichibi Jinchuriki?" Yugito took a sip of her tea and then replied, "So you noticed him too, huh?" Naruto chuckled. "Who wouldn't?" he said, making Yugito laugh. Naruto suddenly got a serious look on his face. "I'm going to talk with him," he said. "I need to know what happened to him that made him turn so sadistic and insane." Yugito raised her eyebrow. "I wish you luck, but I don't expect that to work until the Kyubi turns good," she said, taking a sip of her tea. Naruto smirked. "Well, actually," he said. Yugito choked on her drink. "You mean cough you're working cough with it?" she asked bewildered. From what Matatabi had told her, the Kyubi wanted nothing to do with people. She couldn't believe that Naruto was able to work with it. She then smiled. "Well, I guess you'll be able to fix Gaara," she said. Naruto nodded and walked out of the cafeteria. "That boy, if he can work with Kyubi, the exams are gonna be harder than I thought Yugito." Naruto closed his eyes attempting to sense Gaara. After about 30 seconds he was able to find him at the roof of the table. Jumping out of a window, he climbed to the top of the tower. He looked across the roof and on his opposite side, he saw Gaara sitting with his legs crossed with sand swirling around him. Gaara, noticing Naruto, turned his head to his fellow retreat slowly, eyes narrowed. "What do you want?" he said. "Why are you like this?" Naruto asked. "Why are you so insane?" Gaara looked at Naruto with a bored look on his face. "My life was insane, I merely went along with the ride." Naruto now narrowed his eyes. "So was mine. I know the pain of loneliness, Gaara." At this the Suna Genin's eyes widened. This boy, he wasn't sure, but now he knew he was just like him. "Why do you protect people?" he said, eyes narrowing again. Naruto looked at him with a sad look on his face. "I don't pretend to know your life, but I'm sure up until 7 years ago, it was very similar to mine. I never had anyone who loved me, sure there were 3 people, but never unconditional love. I would be beaten every weekend and then after healing would get shipped on my way. Until I was 5. I was beaten so badly that I lost it. I killed all who beat me. It felt good. Causing them the same pain they caused me. I almost went insane. But she helped me. She showed me there were kind people in this cruel world. That's why I protect Gaara. It's love, Gaara. Gaara's eyes widened. It's love, Gaara. The same words his uncle used the night he tried to kill him. He looked at Naruto who now had wide eyes. He frowned until he turned around. His eyes widened even further. Around him the sand had formed into his mother, her hands above where he had just been sitting. He started to tear up and face Naruto. Naruto smiled at Gaara and walked up to him. Gaara tensed at Naruto's approaching figure, but didn't try anything. What happened next sent into a fit of wailing. Naruto had stopped in front of the Tsunade Jinchuriki and hugged him. Naruto turned around and walked down the tower, bowing before he left. Gaara just stood there, crying and dumbfounded. He wiped away the tears and looked at his mother. He looked down at his hands, remembering the bloodshed they had caused. Uzumaki Naruto, how can I be more like you? He thought to himself. End of second exam. All 8 teams that passed the second round were gathered in a giant room. There were balconies on either side of the arena, most likely for other participants to watch from. At the very front of the arena was a giant statue of 2 arms, making the ram hand sign. In front of the statue were all the senseis of the present genin, the proctors, and the Hokage. Naruto was standing in between Team 7 and Team 8, being more of a buffer for Sasuke. He was looking straight ahead until someone caught his attention. "Thank you," said Hinata. When she saw Naruto look at her, it just made her already present blush intensify. "Thank you for sealing the mark." "Oh yeah. No problem, it's the least I could do," Naruto responded. Now Hinata was confused. "For what?" she asked, tilting her head to her head with a curious look on her face. Seeing this, Naruto turned his head trying to hide his blush. "You'll find out soon, Hinata," said Kiba. Naruto turned his head so fast it almost gave him whiplash. "Oh, Kiba," he exclaimed. "What?" asked the Inuzuka. Naruto just threw his arms into the air and turned away. The Hokage coughed, getting everyone's attention. "Now that you are all listening, I can explain. The third exam will be starting soon. But before I explain how it will work, let me make one thing perfectly clear. It is the purpose of the Chunin exams," said the Hokage. Now everyone was confused. What purpose? During times of peace, the Chunin exams are a substitute for war. It is a chance to show other villages how strong one's ninja are. These will be life and death battles, because one's strength comes out when faced with death. Now, I've said all I've wanted to about the purpose, now on to the third exam, said the Hokage. "If I could, Lord Hokage," said Hade. The Hokage nodded and turned around. "To those of you who don't know me, my name is Kofjeko Hade. I will be the proctor of the next exam. But before we do that, I need you all to do something for me. There will be preliminaries due to the amount of contestants, and how you do in these will determine if you make it to the finals. They will be one-on-one matches, the winner moving on to the finals," Hade explained. "Preliminaries?" everyone thought. "What do you mean?" asked an annoyed Shikamaru. He just wanted to go home. "Since there are many of you here, we need to slim down the numbers. There will be important figures at the finals, and it will take too long if we do 25 one-on-one matches. So instead we will be doing that here. Behind me are screens that will be showing the contestants' names. If a lands on you, the other name is who you'll be up against. Now no more complaining, because the exams start now." All the genin went up to the balconies with their respective senseis. Naruto went to stand next to Hinata, blocking Sasuke's view of her, again making him growl. Hinata breathed a sigh of relief. "Thank you, he's been looking with more eye intent today," she said quietly to Naruto. "Yeah, no problem, like I said earlier, it's the least I could do," replied Naruto. As soon as the two finished their conversation, the screen started swapping through names faster than the genin could see. The screen started to slow down, and the genin could tell the names now. It slowed down even more and the genin became anxious. Hayate was facing the board and saw the names that it stopped on. He faced the genin and announced the names. "The first match will be Harry vs Dosu," yelled Hayate. Dosu went down to the middle of the arena, but before the red-haired Kumo Kinoichi could move, the white-haired one spoke up. "Don't lose, Carry. If you do, B-sama might give up on you, and then Raikage-sama will give up on you, and then you'll become weak and feeble, and then—" "Shut up," yelled Carry. Her worrying brother dropped his head as she jumped off the balcony. She walked up to the middle and pulled out her sword. It was a standard katana used by most shinobi who trained with swords. Hayate looked at both contestants. "Are both of you ready?" he asked. He saw both contestants nod and he lifted his arm. "Hajime," he said, starting the fight. Quickly, Dosu brought up his arms and fired sound waves at Carry. Attempting to get closer to her opponent, Carry dodged from left to right, getting closer inch by inch. Dosu, noticing this, aimed his gauntlet at the floor. Carry immediately dashed at the Odo Nin, sword ready to strike. However, she never made it. As soon as Dosu fired his sound waves into the floor, it created a ripple effect across it, ripping rocks out of the ground and making Carrie lose her balance and be thrown into the wall. Dosu got up and faced his opponent who was currently struggling to get up. Again, he aimed his gauntlet at her, making her eyes widen. Everyone saw the shockwave hit her, but before they could worry, she poofed out of existence replaced by a rock. Dosu heard footsteps run up behind him, but before he could do anything he heard her call out her attack. Kumo Riktamashijiri. She cried, swinging her katana and cutting off Dosu's arm. Aourg! Yelled the Odo Genin. Winner. Carry, said Hate, medics. Gin and Zaku cringed as they heard Dosu's screams of agony. They looked at Orochimaru disguised as an Odo Jounin and saw a passive look on his face. They then looked at one another with a, does he even care? Look. The screen started to scroll through names again and the Genin tensed. The screen again started to slow down as it landed on the next two names. Second match will be between Abumi Zaku and Aburami Shino. Shino and Zaku walked down to the arena meeting in the middle. Hate, realizing the two didn't have anything to say, began the match, Hajim. The two stood there not moving for several seconds. If you fight me, you will be beaten so badly you won't be able to continue your shinobi career, walk away while you still can, said Shino stoically. Zaku just glared at the bug user, tough guy are we? Well whatever, cause I'm betting I'll still be able to beat you with much more fight left in me. Zaku lunged at Shino palm open and swung his arm to the right side of Shino's head. Shino blocked the blow, but was suddenly on alarm as he saw his palm. Zankuha! Yelled Zaku. Shino was thrown away and landed hard on the floor. Hinata and Kiba were astounded. Shino was one of the best shinobi of their generation, just behind Sasuke, and he was being thrown around so easily. Shino groaned as he got back on his feet. Zaku narrowed his eyes, something didn't seem right. What the? He exclaimed as he saw hundreds of bugs come out of the Genin skin, bugs, they're coming out of his skin. He then turned around as he heard a bunch of scurrying coming from behind him. Shit. He thought. Do you like my friends? They are the Kakachu of my clan. Parasitic insects devour the chakra of their prey. So if you want to be liked, you'd better surrender. Your arms will not help you, the Aburami explained. Drrr growled Zaku, I won't give up. Who do you think I am? I'll show you my true power. Yelled Zaku as he stuck out both arms, take this. He yelled, releasing chakra from his arms. Before Shino could say anything, Zaku's arms blew up from the chakra and he was left without any arms. What the hell? Yelled Kiba as everyone noticed the Kakachu coming out of Zaki's arms. Shino appeared behind Zaku as he was still distracted by the immense pain. Just now, while I was giving you my helpful advice, I had Kakachu make their way through the tunnels you blast your wind from. They made their way to key points in your body, messing with your chakra, Shino said. He whipped the Odo Genin across the face, knocking him out cold. Winner, Aburami Shino, said Hate. Shino walked up to the balcony where he was congratulated by his team. The screen landed on two names and the people who weren't picked side. Third match, Kankuro vs Amoy. Yelled Hate. Kankuro and the white-haired Kumo boy known as Amoy walked down to the center of the arena. Hate looked at both of them and nodded, Hajim. Immediately Kankuro threw his giant Hokage to the side and Amoy rushed him. The latter took out his sword and struck Kankuro in the gut. He looked up to Kankuro's face to see it peeling off. The puppet? He asked. He then looked behind him as he saw what the giant Hokage was unraveling around. The bandages dropped and he saw Kankuro with chakra wires attached to his finger. Looking back at the puppet he saw 6 arms come out of its side and wrap them around him. The puppet tightened its grip, breaking Amoy's arms. Aourg! Yelled the Kumo nin. Winner, Kankuro. Hate said, ending the match before it could result in something worse. All of the matches have ended in major arm injuries, thought Hinata. Before she could think any further she felt 2 giant killer intents. She faced the board and saw the 2 names that appeared. Fourth match, Haruno Sakura vs Yamanaka Ino, said Hate. Not doing this, everyone knows it ends in a draw, so riding it would be, as Shikamaru says, troublesome. Neither contestant can continue. In the result of a draw, no one wins, said Hate. Man, what a catfight, and I hate cats, said Kiba, Naruto nodding next to him. They looked up and saw the next match. Fifth match, Inuzuka Kiba and Nai Yugito, said Hate. Man, why do I have to fight a girl, said Kiba downtrodden. She likes cats, said Naruto. Oh it is on. Yelled Kiba marching towards the center of the arena, with everyone else sweat dropping at his antics. Kiba glared at Yugito who had a passive face. Hajim! Yelled Hate. Kiba threw a soldier pill at Akamaru, whose fur instantly turned red. Making a hand sign, smoke enveloped the duo, and when it cleared it revealed 2 beast-like Kiba. Yugito narrowed her eyes, so there's 2 of you now, big deal, she said. Kiba growled at the Jinchuriki, it's gonna be a big deal when you'll be in intensive care. Gatsuga. He yelled. Two drills came at Yugito faster than anything else she had seen. Fast, she thought. She was able to dodge between the boy and dog duo, if just barely. What she didn't realize is that they came for more. Kiba and Akamaru turned as soon as they noticed she dodged. Yugito was able to dodge Kiba, but Akamaru, being the more flexible of the two, was able to hit her. She was pounded into the ground because of the blow, but was quickly able to get back up. Kiba and Akamaru were on the other side of the arena, watching her. She made several hand signs, ending on the tiger. Pain. Flaming hairball. She yelled as 7 balls made from blue flames were fired at Kiba. Kiba's eyes widened. Blue fire the hell. He thought. But he didn't have a minute to spare. Suuga. He called, becoming a drill once again and circling Akamaru. The impact created heavy smoke. Yugito tried to find Kiba, but to her surprise he came out, still drilling at her. She put her arms in an X formation, just barely able to block it. Kiba landed not too far away with Akamaru. I'm actually having fun, said Yugito. Kiba smirked, me too. They're made for each other, said Naruto and Shikamaru simultaneously. How would you know anything about love dope? Asked Sasuke. Behind him Kakashi was finding it hard not to strangle the life out of the boy then and there. It's time to end this, said Yugito. Next hit wins? Asked Kiba. Of course, purred Yugito, making a barely noticeable tint of pink come across Kiba's face. Alright. He yelled as he threw down a smoke bomb enveloping the three of them. What happened? Asked Choji. The genin watched as the smoke cleared and saw Yugito pointing her nails at Akamaru. Instead they were razor sharp, with Kiba pointing a kunai with a cut in half blade pointed at her neck. Kiba went wide-eyed. How? He asked. Like the Uzumaki said, I like cats, she explained, now if you want your furry friend. I give up, Kiba finished putting the broken kunai down. I'm Naruto risking Akamaru's life for a chance at Chunin, there's always next time. Yugito smiled as she retracted her claws and gave Akamaru to Kiba. Winner. Nai Yugito from Kumo, announced Hade. Kiba watched Yugito's back as she walked back to the balcony. I think I'm in love, he thought, walking back to his team. Good job, Kiba, said Hinata. She handed him a small wooden box, Kiba already knowing what was in it. Yeah, good job, Kiba. And from what I saw at the very end, from the way you were looking at her, it seems you got the hots for her, said Naruto, smirking at Kiba. Kiba turned to growl at Naruto, say one more thing and Naruto I swear I will tell your secret to everyone here, he said. That shut Naruto up nice and quick. Sixth match, Temari vs Higurashi Tenten, said Hate Hajime. Yeah, go Tenten. Yelled Lee from the stands. So, another one of those Suna genin. This should be interesting, said Neji. Bang. I am possible, cried Lee. She shut her down that quickly, exclaimed Neji. Across the floor were dozens of weapons that Tenten had expertly thrown at Temari, except one thing was wrong. Tenten was folded over Temari's fan, beaten and bloody. This was really troublesome, said Temari. Shikamaru sneezed. Winner, Temari. Called Hade. Temari threw Tenten across the floor, but before she could land on the weapons, she was caught by Lee. What's wrong with you? That's not how you treat a worthy opponent, yelled Lee. Lee, that's enough, yelled Guy from the stands. Lee growled at Temari, but obeyed his sensei and went back to the stands. The screen started blurring through names again. Damn, said Shikamaru. Seventh match, Nara Shikamaru vs Tsuchi-kin, said Hade. The two genin met in the middle, Shikamaru seeming out of it. I can't believe I have to fight a girl, said the lazy Nara. Kin scowled at him and said, fine, I guess I'll just have to wipe the floor with you then. Ready? Hajime. Exclaimed Hade. Oh Shikamaru. Yelled Choji. Hagime no jutsu. Said Shikamaru. So that's all you got, huh? Well you'll have to do better than that. Said Kin. She threw senbon at Nara, who dodged them, and they hit the opposite wall. The bells rung, causing Shikamaru to turn around. Bells. What a tired old trick. Let me guess, you'll be throwing your senbon in two groups, with and without bells, to mislead me into thinking I'm safe until the silent ones get me right. He asked. Chatty are we? Asked Kin as she drew her arm back. The bells rung again, catching Shikamaru off guard. Behind me? He exclaimed. It was then he realized his mistake. Shit. A thread, she's pulling the strings to mock me. Too late. Yelled Kin. She threw senbon at Shikamaru, these ones hitting him. Once I was able to dodge your shadow, it was all she was about to say. How? She yelled, your shadow is nowhere in sight. Still don't get it? Think about it. Strings that small and high up wouldn't be able to create shadows. You fell right into my trap, explained Shikamaru, getting up, now to end it. He got a kunai from his pouch, making Kin do the same. Throwing it at the same time, Shikamaru dodged the kunai harmlessly, but Kin hit her head on the wall, knocking her out. "Winner, Nara Shikamaru," said Hade. "Yes, Shikamaru," yelled Choji from the balcony. As Shikamaru went up to the stands, the next match was announced. 8th match, Akamichi Choji vs I, said Choji. The bribe of all you can eat, and 2 minutes later Choji was in the center of the arena. Hade looked at the contestants, Hajime. Choji jumped back from Sai, who had stayed still. "Aika no jutsu," he yelled. Choji inflated like a balloon and tucked his head and limbs inside of his body and began to roll. Instead of being incredibly slow, Sai was caught off guard when it was faster than he expected. But he was faster. Sai would simply dodge the rolling sphere of mass that was his opponent. This went on for about 5 minutes until Choji had gotten tired. When he went back to his original state, Sai had held his sword to his neck. "Winner, Sai," said Hade. Choji had glumly walked back to his team, where he was greeted by a sympathetic congratulations from his entire team, including Ino, who had regained consciousness during his fight along with Sakura. The screen started going through names again, and there were only 3 matches left, and everyone knew these would be the best ones yet. The names that it landed on made everyone go speechless. 9th match. Uzumaki Naruto vs Uchiha Sasuke, said Genma. The arena went quiet. Never in a million years had anyone from Konoha thought this would be the matchup. However, that silence didn't last. Everyone soon heard heavy footsteps walking down, looked to the sound and saw Naruto face down. Even as he reached the middle, he didn't pick up his head. Sasuke jumped off the balcony and walked towards Naruto. He smirked as he saw the Ritide's face not looking at him. "Scared to meet my eyes?" asked Sasuke as he activated the Sharingan. "Finally activated those damn eyes, huh?" Naruto replied. He picked up his head with a manic smile and the Kitsuryugen activated. The smile sent shivers down everyone's spine. "Hade. Start the match, this bastard's gonna pay for what he said about my family," said Naruto. Hade nodded, Hajime. Sasuke jumped back, keeping his eyes on the Uzumaki. He grit his teeth, he would obviously have to make the first move, something he really did not want to do. He pulled out a kunai and rushed Naruto. Naruto stood there not moving. Sasuke went for the attack, and as he was about to connect, Naruto did something he didn't think he would do. He caught the kunai in between his fingers and grabbed Sasuke's hand. "Wrong move, Uchiha," Naruto said. Blood started to pour out of Naruto's eyes, and the blood from his hand started to levitate. Sasuke's eyes widened as the blood turned into sharp needles. At the last second, he was able to get free of Naruto's grasp and dodge the blood senbon. He looked into Naruto's emotionless eyes. He knew those eyes, that man had those eyes. "How dare you? How dare you mock me with those eyes?" he yelled. He rushed through hand signs and took a deep breath. "Pain. Gakakyu no Jutsu," he exclaimed. A giant raging ball of fire flew at Naruto. The boy in question just raised his eyebrow. The ball impacted him, making everyone else speechless. When the smoke died down, they saw a wall of blood protecting Naruto from the blast. Up in the stands, Hinata saw the blood, making hers run cold. He began to shiver and held her right hand to her left arm. A few feet from her, Kakashi saw this gesture and frowned. He knew how her family treated her. Naruto had told him during the Nami mission, could that have led to a life of fear of blood? He decided to put it off for later and turned back to the match. Sasuke looked shocked at the wall of blood. "How? How dare you have this? It should be mine. And Uchiha's," he screamed. He sped through hand signs that only a few people recognized, Kakashi especially. He held his left arm with his right hand, where lightning began to crackle. He looked at Naruto with a crazed look on his face. "It's funny you should family dope. 'Cause you're about to meet your failure of one right now," he yelled, Chidori. He ran at the blood wall, and when he was about 15 feet away, he stuck his hand out. He plunged through the blood wall, and an explosion was made. Clang. Rang all throughout the arena. When the smoke was cleared, everyone stood there in awe. There Naruto was, holding a bone, with the blade of the Kubikirabacho stuck into the floor. Sasuke was on the other side of the giant sword, fist smashed into it, no longer enveloped in lightning. "Uchiha. I've told you to never speak about my family," exclaimed Naruto. Everyone saw as his fist became enveloped in a black fire and wind, causing it to fit his hand like a glove. He thrust it around the sword and hit Sasuke in the gut. "Ai Uurg," screamed the Uchiha in pain as he was sent across the arena into the wall. Hayate went over to check on him and saw that he was knocked out. He turned to Naruto and held out his arm. "Winner, Uzumaki Naruto," he announced. The arena was quiet. No one dared to make a sound. The blade returned to blood and the bone fell to the ground and crumbled away. Naruto sealed away all the blood for later usage and put away his scroll. He walked back up to the balcony without saying a word. He passed the Suna team, who were dead silent, and passed Team 9. He stopped when he got to Team 8, noticing Hinata was holding something out to him. "Naruto-kun, this is for you," she said, holding out a duplicate of the box she gave to Kiba. Naruto, realizing this was the healing ointment she had given him the last 2 times, took it and thanked her. But he had one more thing to say before he passed her. "It worked well the last 2 times," he whispered to her. This made her already present blush even darker, and she was trying hard not to faint. Naruto went to stand in between Kiba and Kakashi, the latter having moved to the guardrail after noticing what jutsu Sasuke was using. Kakashi looked at his little brother and I smiled. "Good job," he said, giving him an eye smile. They looked back at the screen and saw it blurring through names again. It started slowing down. Slower, slower, stop. The names that it stopped on surprised everyone. But it terrified one and made the other have a gleeful smile on their face. "10th match, Hyuga Neji vs Hyuga Hinata," said Hate. The 2 Hyugas meet in the middle, Neji scowling at Hinata. "I never dreamed we'd find ourselves fighting each other, Hinata-sama," he said, spitting out the last part. "Neji Niacin," stuttered Hinata. Hate looked at the 2, Hajime. He yelled. Neither Hyuga moved. "Before we begin," started Neji, "there's something you should know. You are not cut out to be a shinobi. Forfeit." He growled. Hinata began to tear up. "You're sweet, you want to make peace, and you're not a leader," he said, "that's why your father sent you to the branch family. You're a disappointment." Hinata looked down at the floor. "Look at you, no self-confidence. Your inferiority complex is the biggest I've ever seen. You'd be more comfortable staying a genin. But to compete in the Chunin exams, you must enter as an entire squad. But you couldn't bear to let down your teammates. The truth is, your participation has been reluctant from the very beginning." "No, I want to see change," said Hinata. "You can't change. Once a failure, always a failure," interrupted Neji. Naruto was getting more rage-filled by the second, it was taking the combined forces of Guy and Kakashi to hold him down. That didn't mean that they weren't having trouble. He had already started to draw on some of the Kyubi's chakra, even while the fox was trying to hold back. "It's because of our unchanging nature that different people are born. Those who are elites and those who are failures. It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from. It's unchangeable," snarled Neji as he activated his Byakugan. Hinata's tears began to fall. "Shut up," said a dark voice. Neji turned to the voice. He saw Naruto on the ground with a struggling Kakashi, Guy, and now Kurenai holding him back from ripping out his throat. "She can change, anyone can change. You can't decide things for other people. So shut the fuck up." "Hinata can change," he said, now seeping out small amounts of red chakra. Naruto thought Hinata. "Come on Hinata, show him what you're made of," said Naruto. "Naruto, thank you," thought Hinata. She now had a determined look on her face, all her fear. Neji looked back at his cousin, seeing the determination in her eyes. "So, you're not going to forfeit? Then I won't be responsible for what happens here," he said. Hinata activated her Byakugan and got into the Jukin stance. Neji got into the same stance and the Hyugas ran at each other. Hinata went for the first blow, which was easily blocked by Neji, who went for a strike to her gut. Hinata weaved her way out of the blow with ease, looking just like Yugito. The 2 went at it like this for several minutes until Hinata went for Neji's shoulder. "If she hits me there," thought Neji. He went for the most vital spot on the body. Everybody saw Hinata spit out blood, landing on the floor. She was still conscious, a good sign. She pulled her arm back and went for another blow to his shoulder. Neji caught her arm and poked her elbow. "Let me show you, Hinata-sama, why you can't hurt me," he said, grabbing her sleeve about to pull it up. Hinata's eyes widened. She tried to break free of his grip, but that only made him hold tighter. He rolled up her sleeve, but what he saw made everyone freeze. All across her arm her red spots where he had blocked her chakra, but that wasn't it. All across her arm were small cuts, obviously made intentionally. Up in the balcony Kakashi looked down at Naruto, he wasn't moving. He couldn't imagine what he felt. He told him he had sworn to protect Hinata. Naruto probably felt as if he failed right now. Kurama was wide-eyed and speechless. She was just like his kid. Except she never stopped hurting herself. Kiba and Shino were wide-eyed in horror. How had they never noticed? Naruto was the worst of all. He began to hyperventilate. Why? Why couldn't he ever protect the ones that meant the most to him? He failed. He began to radiate more red chakra. Kiba, Shino, Shikamaru and Asuma ran over to hold him down. Shino with his bugs, Kiba and Akamaru in their beast form, Shikamaru holding him with his shadow, and Asuma pushing down with wind. And they were still struggling. The other genin looked at the struggling shinobi. This was all to hold down one genin. Hinata looked at her arm. She looked at Neji, who had a disgusted look on his face. He threw her aside. "Pathetic," he said, "Proctor, this match is over." "No. Don't end it," screamed Naruto. Neji looked at Hinata, who was getting up from the floor. "So you still want to fight? "Well, don't blame me if I kill you," he said, getting into a stance. Hinata's eyes widened in fear at the stance. "Hakirakujuian shu." Neji yelled, 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms, 32 palms, 64 palms. Neji yelled. Hinata held the place where her heart was in pain. Everyone knew where all those strikes were aimed. And seeing how Naruto reacted to just the taunts, it scared them how he would react to this. Hinata stumbled 2 steps back, 4, then landed on her knees. She began to hyperventilate heavily. Neji walked up to her. "Nobody can change, remember that. If you live to remember it," he said as he kicked her in the chin, sending her to the floor several feet back. "Medics!" screamed Hade in panic. He looked towards Naruto who had a blank look on his face. What Neji did was the last straw for Naruto. He created a shockwave of red chakra that sent everyone holding him flying, and he disappeared in a red flash. Next thing everyone knew, there was a crash on the stadium wall. They saw a red and yellow glow, the red looking like a fox and the yellow coming off the fox and creating an X shape on the wall. When the dust cleared, everyone saw Naruto with a red chakra surrounding him, with golden chakra chains holding Neji to the wall. "Give me one good reason that I shouldn't rip out your balls and your throat," Naruto said in a demonic voice. Neji couldn't say anything, so he just glared at the Uzumaki. Naruto pulled his arm back and a swirling purple chakra began to form. "Naruto!" yelled the Hokage. Naruto stopped what he was doing. He looked at Naruto with cold, sad, and rage-filled eyes. He dispelled his jutsu and dropped Neji. He walked over to where Hinata was laying down with the medics. He looked down at the medics with a passive face, but tears in his eyes. "Will she survive?" he asked in a choked voice. The medic looked at the concerned boy. "It's hard to say, but the only thing keeping her stable right now is a separate chakra," the medic replied. "You mean, the curse mark?" Naruto asked in horror. The medic raised his eyebrow, obviously wondering how he knew. Maybe he was there when it happened, but he nodded. Naruto went quiet and clenched his fists. The only thing keeping Hinata alive was the damn thing he'd sworn to get rid of along with the cage bird seal, and he didn't even know how long she had. He watched as the medics picked her up and carried her out of the arena. Naruto walked slowly up the stairs and down the balcony. He had an aura around him that made even Gaara keep quiet. Sakura looked at the aura and her eyes widened in fear. Naruto had an orange-red aura around him that was shaped in 9 fox-like tails. Monst, she began but was quickly shut up by Kakashi's glare at the word she was about to use. The shinobi heard the screen buzzing through names again. They looked at the names, not that they needed to. "Final match, Gaara vs Rock Lee," said Hade. Gaara-san's sunshine and the ever-eccentric Lee did a backflip to shoulder roll off the balcony. "Facing such a youthful opponent makes me very happy," screamed the mini-me of Guy. "HMPH," grunted Gaara. Hade smirked at Lee. "Contest's ready. Hajime." Lee rushed at Gaara as he called out his attack, Konoha Senpu. The blow never connected as sand blocked Lee's kick before it could even get near Gaara. The sand tripped Lee up and sent him tumbling. "Ah!" Lee grunted. Lee got up, attempting to hit the sand again, but it blocked his attack. He went behind to kick and it was blocked. Lee retreated, already exhausted from his offense. "He blocked all my attacks, without even moving a muscle," thought Lee. Again, he went for a punch, but it was unsurprisingly blocked by the sand. Finally, Gaara made his move. The sand went for Lee's legs, only for him to backflip off of it onto the giant statue. The two shinobi looked at each other. Lee looked at his sensei who had a smile on his face. "Lee. Take them off." Guy yelled with a thumbs up. "But Guy-sensei, you said to only take them off when protecting those precious to me." Lee responded, saluting to his sensei. "It's okay. I'll allow it." Guy yelled back. "Really? Really?" Lee exclaimed. The genin sat down and removed his orange leg warmers. The other shinobi saw weights attached to his legs. Lee took them off with a relieved smile on his face. Gaara looked cautiously at the green-clad ninja. Lee stood up and dropped the weights. "Yosh. Now I can move freely," he yelled. "You really think you'll be able to keep up with Gaara's sand just by dropping a couple of pounds of weights?" thought Temari. Boom. Craters were made as the weights hit the floor. Before anyone knew it, Lee was behind Gaara, throwing a right hook that was just barely blocked, and he disappeared again. He repeatedly hit the sand then disappeared, confusing it. He appeared on top of Gaara springing, and then axe-kicked the Suna genin. "Well, looks like I finally hit you," said Lee as he slid back. Gaara glared back at the Konoha genin. "Is that all you have?" Lee asked, attempting to aggravate the Suna genin into attacking. "His defense is amazing. Even if I was able to hit him, my only shot to beat him is..." He looked at his sensei, who gave him the same look with a nod, the lotus. Lee began to unwrap the bandages around his arms and he began to run circles around Gaara, creating a cloud of dust. Gaara stared wordlessly at the many after images that Lee was creating. "Come on, hurry up," he said. No sooner had he said that than he was kicked in the chin and sent into the air by Lee. He was kicked several more times, the sand being useless to Lee's relentless attacks. Lee wrapped the bandages around Gaara, with Gaara's head being higher than Lee. The genin began to rush towards the ground at immense speeds, and as they were about to hit the floor, Lee jumped away at the last second, leaving Gaara to crash into it. Everyone on the balcony stared at Gaara's corpse, which stayed motionless on the floor. Suddenly the body began to crumble, revealing it to be a sand clone. Everyone's eyes widened, and Lee felt a shiver go down his spine as he felt Gaara's presence behind him. Before he could react, Gaara sent a wave of sand into Lee, throwing him into the wall, leaving an imprint of the genin. Gaara sent another wave of sand that Lee was just barely able to dodge. Lee rushed towards Gaara, dodging the different spears of sand as he did so. I looked down at his student pensively, realizing Lee's plan. Lee put his arms in an X formation, and his skin began to darken in color. "Showman. Release," yelled Lee. Veins began to become visible on his forehead as blue chakra came off of him. Lee ran at Gaara, who was immediately kicked skyward harder than before, this time from his back. Gaara faced the roof, attempting to cocoon himself with sand, but Lee was too fast for it. He began to attack Gaara with ferocious speed, sending him in many different directions with his attacks. Once again, Lee appeared above Gaara, poised to strike. "This is the end," Lee exclaimed as he punched Gaara in the solar plexus. As Gaara crashed into the same crater, it created a shockwave, making the hole even bigger. He stayed on the ground, nearly unconscious from the blow. Lee fell to the ground, exhausted from opening the gate. Gaara turned his head towards Lee, holding his hand out. Sand began to envelope Lee, but before Gaara could end his career, he remembered something from the past. "That's why I protect Gaara. It's love, Gaara. Uzumaki Naruto, how can I be more like you?" Maybe this was the first step to truly being happy, to be recognized for something good. So Gaara slowly opened his mouth. "Give up, I don't want to have to kill you," he said weakly. The genin squad from Suna's eyes widened. Who was this? Gaara would have shown no mercy. Naruto heard the words of his fellow Jinchuriki and smiled. He looked at Yugito, who looked at him and shook her head with a quiet laugh. Lee was already breathing heavily. He knew he wouldn't be able to get free of the sand. Slowly, he turned his head to Hayate and nodded. The proctor raised his hand and pointed it to Gaara. "Winner, Gaara," he announced. Gaara let go of Lee, who promptly fell unconscious. Medics rushed over to Lee, while Kankuro and Temari ran down to get their brother. The Ichibi Jinchuriki looked to them apologetically. "Kankuro, Temari, I'm sorry for everything," he said in a choked voice. "It's okay, Gaara, you're our little brother," said Temari. The siblings picked up their brother and carried him to the balcony. All the genin who passed the first round were lined up in front of the Hokage. "We will now be choosing numbers to choose you will be facing in the finals," he announced. Anko came up with a box full of papers as each genin came up. 1, said Naruto. 9, said Gaara. 3, said Shikamaru. 2, said Neji. 10, said Yugito. 8, said Kankuro. 6, said Sai. 5, said Kari. 4, said Temari. 7, said Shino. The Hokage nodded. "Very well, the matchups will be Uzumaki Naruto vs Hyuga Neji. Nara Shikamaru vs Temari. Kari vs Sai. Shino vs Kankuro. And Gaara vs Nai Yugito," he said. Naruto glared at Neji, giving off a noticeably large amount of killing intent. "The finals will take place in 1 month at the Konoha Arena. During this month you can choose what to do, however I consider training," explained Hayate. "Now, you are free to go." Naruto had just gotten out of the forest. It's not like a hard time, he was radiating so much killer intent that everything stayed clear of him. He walked towards his designated training ground and began to pound at the training posts. He began to lose control of his chakra, making chakra chains pour out of him, impaling the ground and surrounding trees. He began to create giant winds, and fire chakra began to light everything on fire. He was so enraged that he didn't notice when he had started crying. But he did notice someone walking up to him. No, 2 people. He turned around with his still angry and teared up face and saw Kakashi and the Hokage looking at him worriedly. The old man walked up to Naruto and hugged the broken boy. Naruto leaned into his surrogate grandfather and cried. He cried his heart away. Kakashi looked at his little brother with tear-filled eyes. The boy had lost so much. And now it was possible he would lose the person he loved most because of family feud. Naruto cried until he fell asleep. The Hokage got up and nodded to Kakashi. The copy ninja picked up the redeed and took him to his apartment and laid him down. Kakashi laid down on his couch, not trusting to leave him by himself. Naruto awoke with a groan, looking around his room in confusion. Last he remembered was that he had lost control. He let out nearly a lifetime of pent-up anger, and what broke that was the attempted murder of his most precious person. He remembered Jiji and Kakashi Niasen breaking down, and then black. Apparently one of them took him back to his apartment. Naruto shakily got out of his bed, nearly falling over doing so. He opened his door and walked over to his kitchen, needing to lean on the wall so he wouldn't fall over. Apparently wasting all that chakra made him lose knowing how to balance himself. Who would have thought? He opened his cabinet and grabbed his instant ramen. It was then Naruto heard a groan from his living room. "Ah. What the fuck?" he screamed, cock an eye. "Huh? What?" responded Kakashi. "Oh, Naruto, hey. What are you doing in my apartment?" asked Naruto. "I wanted to watch over you because of, began Kakashi. "Yeah. Kakashi, I'm going to go see her today," Naruto said. Kakashi just nodded at his little brother. "Want some ramen?" asked Naruto. "Sure," said Kakashi, walking over to the table. Naruto served up 2 bowls of instant ramen and sat down with Kakashi. "So what will you be doing this month?" he asked. "Well, Sai has someone who will be teaching him and Sasuke and Sakura aren't in the finals. Right now they are on reserves until after the Chunin exams like everyone else who didn't pass prelims," responded Kakashi. "So you got nothing to do? That sucks," Naruto said laughing a bit. "No I do. Someone very strong and I will be helping you," Kakashi said. Naruto choked on his food. What?" he exclaimed. "Hokage-sama has agreed to it, it's fine," replied Kakashi lazily. Okay, what'll you be teaching me?" asked Naruto. "Well, summoning, the Rasengan, and elemental manipulation. Have you tried making a Scorch-style Rasengan?" asked Kakashi. "Wait, what?" asked Naruto confused, "was I supposed to?" "Well, sensei wanted to add lightning chakra to Rasengan but was never able to. To fully complete the Rasengan was to add elemental manipulation to it. That's why it's pure chakra," explained Kakashi. Naruto smirked. "I think I know what we're gonna do this month." Naruto walked into the hospital looking gloomily at the floor. Walking up at the receptionist, he did his best to stay calm. "What room is Hinata in?" he asked. The receptionist looked at Naruto and glared. "Why would you need to see her? Come to kill more people, demon." Naruto lifted his head and suddenly his red hair was being compared to the red, slitted eyes that had appeared. "What room is Hinata-chan in?" he asked louder as a growl came from his throat. Hinata, room 218, said the receptionist in fear. Naruto's eyes changed back to normal, "Thanks." As Naruto walked up to Hinata's room, he saw a doctor with a notepad come out. He rushed over to ask the extent of her injuries. "Doc, hey," he called. The med nin was one of the ones from the Chunin exams. She smiled at Naruto and nodded, acknowledging him. "Is Hinata-chan okay?" Naruto asked frantically. The med nin's smile immediately dropped, scaring Naruto. With a heavy sigh, the med nin breathed out. Hinata sustained near-fatal injuries to her heart. It's a pure miracle that she's alive. As we said yesterday, the secondary chakra is the only thing keeping her alive. She's already had surgery on her heart and we had to replace hers. Even still, if she doesn't get the best medical attention soon, she will die. The most she has is 3 months, she said sadly. Naruto's heart stopped beating and he began to tear up. "Damn it. Why? Why me? Why is it always fucking me that gets screwed over? If I love someone I can't have them," he screamed. The doctor's eyes widened. "Love? You don't mean?" "Yeah, I do. It's pretty stupid that a demon like me could love a princess like her," said Naruto still crying. The doctor looked at Naruto with a serious face. "Naruto, right?" she asked. Naruto looked up to her and nodded. "She has 3 months. She needs the best of the best to survive. The only person who can save her is Tsunade-sama herself. She hasn't been to the village in over a decade, but it's safe to say that she is in High no Kuni. You have 3 months to save Hinata-san. You will find Tsunade-sama and convince her to come back so you can tell Hinata-san how you feel." "Understood," she said. Naruto stared at the med nin with wide eyes. "But, I have the Chunin exams. I'm against Neji. I'm gonna kill that bastard," he yelled. He then looked down and sighed. "I'm sorry, it's just." "I understand," said the med nin, "but if you really love her, you will give up your revenge to find Tsunade-sama." It was then Naruto had an idea. "I know what to do. But first I need to get to the roof. Can you take me there, Ms. he started. "My name's Kimiko," responded the med nin. "Ms. Kimiko, can you show me to the roof?" asked Naruto. Kimiko nodded. "Come with me." "Thank you." "So, what exactly are you going to do?" asked Kimiko. "This," said Naruto, "Fuin. Hiraishin Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," yelled Naruto as 500 clones appeared in a red flash. "Hiraishin Kage Bunshin," exclaimed Kimiko. "Yeah. I'll send these all around High no Kuni and if they find Tsunade-sama, they'll flare their chakra in a certain way similar to Morse code," explained Naruto. "Wow," said Kimiko, shocked. This way, I can train and look for Tsunade at the same time, said Naruto smiling. Well, good luck with that, said Kimiko, I need to get back to my duties. Alright. Hinata-chan has 3 months. Starting now you 500 will be scouting the entirety of Hai no Kuni to look for Senjutsu Nade. Understood, Naruto exclaimed. Hi. Replied his clones. Good. Responded Naruto, now go. And with that the 500 clones were off. No, said Kakashi. But why? Exclaimed Guy, our youthful challenges always brighten your day. Not today, Guy, I need to help Naruto and you remember what happened yesterday, said Kakashi seriously. I flinched at that. He remembered how much force it took to hold Naruto down and how astonishing it was that he got free. He remembered seeing Naruto about to murder Neji. Seeing that red cloak sent shivers down his spine. Alright, Kaka, started Guy. Suddenly, the ground started to shake, making most shop owners run inside. Is it an earthquake? Asked Guy. Not sure, said Kakashi turning around, but whatever it is we need to be careful. Holy shit. He yelled. I turned around to see what Kakashi was looking at. He turned around and his eyes widened. He saw Kakashi's book on the ground. That had never happened. Guy looked up and his jaw dropped. They saw 500 Naruto clones running through the streets and over the roofs. The two Konoha Jonin jumped to higher ground to get a better view. Naruto? What's the occasion? Called Kakashi. One of the Naruto clones turned around with a serious look on his face. Boss sent us to retrieve Tsunade. Hinata-chan has 3 months to live and this is the only way. They've already replaced her heart but she's still in critical condition. Yelled the clone. Kakashi and Guy's eyes widened. 3 months. They both thought. I need to. Oh, I understand, said Guy before Kakashi could finish. Naruto sat on the chair in Hinata's room. It was quiet and you could barely tell he was moving, almost as if he was asleep. But if you looked and listened close enough, you could see Naruto's body and hear his whimpers. Naruto had held his tears in when he was explaining to Kimiko, but now he had to let it all out. Hinata-chan, I can know you can't hear me, but I wanted you to know that everything I do from now on is for you. I'll take down Neji. Hurt him as much as he hurt you. Make him suffer like you did. Why? Well, it's kinda stupid. I don't know if you remember, but when I was 6, I killed a mob that was after me. I almost went insane. Until you showed up. You helped me. I don't know what I would have done without you. That is why I do everything for you. I love you. And with that, Naruto exited the hospital, tears streaming down his cheeks. Cheers. Yelled 3 men. The first had a scarred face and a pineapple haircut. The second had long, dirty blonde hair and was wearing a sleeveless red trench coat. The third was a big, red-haired man with markings on his cheeks. These were the previous generation's Inoshikacho trio. Nara Shikaku, Yamanaka Inoichi, and Akamichi Choza. So, Shika got into the Chunin finals? Asked Inoichi. Sure did, said Shikaku, it's troublesome, now I have to train him or the wife's gonna kill me. Ino's still upset that she lost to Sakura. Says she's gonna start training hard, said Inoichi. Choji said the same thing. He said that their Inoshikacho will surpass us, said Choza with a chuckle. Bang. Everyone in the brothel looked towards the door only to see it knocked down and a silhouette of Naruto. Everyone, out, he said monotone, releasing an amount of Kai that shocked even the Inoshikacho trio. After feeling the immense killer intent, the trio watched Naruto walk up to the bar and grab a stool. Hey, kid. You're not old enough to be here. Said the bartender hesitantly. Shut up, growled Naruto, get me a drink. I'm in a really bad mood. The bartender gulped and handed a full bottle of sake to the 13-year-old before he ran out of the brothel. Now the only people left were Naruto and the Inoshikacho. I thought I said to get out, said Naruto. Troublesome, muttered Shikaku. Naruto, right. Shika's told me a lot about you. Says you're one of the most positive people he knows. Even after he found out about your mask. Shut up. He is always telling me that no matter what, you'll always keep going and never give up. To me, this looks like giving up. What the hell happened? Said Shikaku. Shut up. Although he did tell me something interesting from yesterday. Says you freaked out when Hinata was nearly fatally injured. Maybe that has something to do with it, egged on the Jonin commander. Shut the fuck up. Yelled the irate Redeed, what the hell would you know? Everyone in the fucking village gets to live a happy life. Why can't I? You talk to me like that trying to get everything out of me, thinking it'll make me feel better, but it fucking doesn't. I love her and she's almost gone so shut the fuck you, yelled Naruto before he was stopped. Shikaku wrapped Naruto in a hug, his chest pressed up on Naruto's head. Naruto, I'm not the best father. Shika's probably told you that I'm really lazy. But I'm one of the smartest people in Konoha and whenever my family is being isolated, I make them let everything out. I don't do it to be mean, but I do it to help them. Now, I want you to tell me how you feel after letting everything out, spoke Shikaku in a fatherly manner. Be better, responded Naruto. Now, don't go wasting your life away like us three old guys. Go fight for her, defend her, said Shikaku. Naruto nodded, thank you, Shikaku-san, he said. Naruto walked out of the building and body flickered away. Toza looked at Shikaku and chuckled, how do you always manage to do that? Shikaku looked at his friends and smirked, I am the Jonin commander. Naruto sat on the top of his father's head contemplating the past hours. I really am hopeless, he thought. You don't say, said Kurama. Oh, just shut up, thought Naruto. Like the two people before me have said, just fight for her honor and help her recover. You're the only one who can. And I'll be damned if my kid's vixen dies, said Kurama. Thanks Kurama. Who are you talking to? Asked a voice. Naruto spun around in fright not noticing anyone, ah fuck. He saw Kakashi standing there reading his porn. That's the second time today you've scared the hell out of me, said Naruto. It'll be 3 by tonight, said Kakashi. Huh? Anyway. I know the day is nearly over, but I wanted to introduce you to your other teacher for the month, said Kakashi. Okay, responded Naruto. Alright, you can come out now, called Kakashi. Naruto's face fell as he saw an old man with red markings on his cheeks and long, spiky hair come out of the trees. He had on an olive green guy and a red, sleeveless trench coat. He also had a scroll on his back as well as red wooden sandals. Nah, Kakan-ai, who's the perv? Asked Naruto. You little gaki. I'm no pervert. I'm the Toad Sage of Mount Myaboku, said the old man. Yeah? And I'm the guy with a non-catatonic love interest, said Naruto turning around looking down at the hospital. What? Asked the so-called Toad Sage. Don't ask about it Jiraiya-sama, said Kakashi, putting his hand on the man's shoulder. So you're Jiraiya, eh? Well lucky you. Unfortunately for me, what I said isn't, said Naruto. What the hell is the gaki talking about, thought Jiraiya. Naruto, as I said, Jiraiya-sama and I will be training you this month. And as you and I talked about earlier, we'll be working on your Scorch release. Halo Hurricane Jet Black Arrow Style 0, explained Kakashi. What? Asked Jiraiya as Naruto just smirked. Nice name, said the genin. Yeah. I think sensei would have called it that, said Kakashi trying not to let it slip to Jiraiya that Naruto knew who his parents were. Alright, I'm confused. Kakashi, you know what I do when I'm confused, so I'm going to go do what I do when I'm confused, so goodbye. Said Jiraiya dramatically as he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Alright. I'll be going too, said Naruto. Said Kakashi, still reading his book. Naruto opened the door to his apartment and looked at his messy couch. He didn't even clean up, he thought. Naruto grabbed a leftover onigiri from his fridge and microwaved it. While eating he began to think of the next month. Kurama, anything else that I should work on this month? He asked his companion. Actually, there is. And that Toad Sage will be helping us with it. It'll help you a lot in the long run, responded the fox. Alright, thought Naruto. The rest of the meal was silent. Naruto finished eating and went to brush his teeth. He went into his room and got changed. When he got in bed, he closed his eyes, thinking about the next month. Ooh. A resounding "Aiya. Fuck you Kakashi." Was heard in Konoha that night. The end. So how was this part? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this part with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.